This conference will now be recorded.
Well, good morning, everybody. This is it's 9 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. This is the Committee of Adjustment. It is made up of members of council, but we are not acting as council at this meeting. We're acting as a committee, and the secretary is Holly Malnick, and we can start with the confirmation of the agenda. Do I have a mover and seconder for that? Barbara and Brian, any discussion? Seeing none, is anyone opposed to that? That is carried. Any declarations of pecuniary interest can declare now or at any time through the meeting. And as always, send the forms in. Adoption of the minutes from the March 23rd Committee of Adjustment. I need a mover and seconder.
I'll move it, Michael.
Okay, Jim and Michael. Any discussion on those minutes? Okay, is anyone opposed?
Nope.
And that is carried. Next, we move on to Lindsay's report on minor variance. Lindsay, if you'd like to have any words about this, or?
Sure, Chair Woodbury, I'll just, if you wouldn't mind grabbing a mover and seconder first, and then I'll go from there.
Sure, Brian and Martin.
Thank you.
So this file will be familiar, well, maybe not, it's been a year. It's getting pretty close to the crunch time for the lapse on this file. So staff have been back and forth with the applicants here, and they have been working on it. They're just finding some complications with the half load season. And I think everyone can appreciate the spring we've had. So, and I know we've had a lot of calls here at the office asking when it's going to be lifted, that sort of thing. So I think they just they have to do a bunch of prep work, I believe, and need some trucks to deliver. So they're just wondering if they could get an extension just because that half load season kind of put them behind a little bit. So that's what this is. We have extended in the past. I think an extension to the end of the year is sufficient, but if the committee would like to extend that further or not that much, then I'm sure that would be okay too. We're just bringing it forward at the applicant's request.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from the committee? Barbara?
Thank you, Chair Woodbury, through you to Lindsay. Good morning, all. And I was just wondering, from a planning perspective, now that they've mentioned half load season and bringing in, I'm assuming, fill or gravel, or I'm not sure what the requirement is. Was there any inclusion in the site plan about drainage, about how much fill was required, and maybe it's just a gravel pad that they're bringing in? I mean, I don't know what kind of prep work that they're doing. I don't necessarily have any issue with the extension. I would like to make sure that we've covered all those bases, and I believe shipping containers require building permits as well. So they're probably working through all of that as well. So I think Clinton had his hand up, Chair.
Yep, I was just waiting to see if you had any more there. Go ahead, Clinton.
It has been a while. I don't believe there actually was a drainage plan for this. It likely is for a gravel pad to put the shipping containers, and of course they have to bring the shipping containers in themselves as well to place it on the pad, which with half load, who knows if that's an issue or not. So between the gravel and that, they just need a little bit more time. And I don't really want to have to do this all again for them. So,
No, not at all. Thank you for that. That makes sense.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Martin?
Thanks, John. Yeah, since it's going to December 31st, that's 8 months for them through the summer and through the summer. So that should be more than sufficient time to get what they want done. So I'm in favor. And as Clint says, you don't want them to go through the whole process again. So again, I'm in favor for it.
Anyone else? Okay. I just, I'm in favor of doing this. I just think though that from my point of view, the half load season has very little to do with it at this point, because they've had 10 months before that to fulfill these things, but still things happen. So I will actually vote in favor of this. Is there any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Is anyone opposed to this motion?
Nope.
That's carried. Thanks, Lindsay. Next, I need mover and seconder for 6.2.1. That's the Van Alstyne cancellation certificate. Brian and Barbara. Clint, did you want to tell us something about this?
Sure. So Mr. Van Alstyne has put in an application for a site plan approval to expand his shop. Unfortunately, he's crossing over a property line, and therefore we can't actually bring forward and approve something like that until the lots have been merged. And the Planning Act has actually recently been amended to allow for these cancellation certificates now to actually cancel out a prior consent that's happened. Before, what we used to have to do is either take off a 1 foot square or a 1 foot strip along the front of the property in order to destroy the original lot description so that they could then be merged. We no longer have to do all of that timely, or it took a lot of time, a full consent process to go through that. So now it was literally 2 weeks. We have this up and ready to go. So I'm recommending it be approved. It can't be undone. So once it's done, they have to go through a consent process again if they want to do it again. So that's where this is coming from, and you should see a site plan shortly if it's approved.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? Pretty straightforward. It's good to see a local business expanding and doing stuff. And I know Paul and Kathy have done a lot for the community as well. Okay, and I'll call the question. Oh, Martin, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, John. Clinton, the one spot here where it says financial implications, I'm in agreement with this. As John just said, I'll repeat it. They're certainly a part of the community. It's good to see them grow. Because this is so new, do you think there's going to be a lot more of these done, or is it just going to be the same old? Because it says that there's no fee.
I think you'll see maybe 1 or 2 a year, maybe. So
Maybe.
It could be worth the time. Just, it's not going to be a huge fee by any stretch. It might be $250 or something like that, but just something to cover off staff time to write the report and contact the lawyers and make sure all of that stuff is done.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no more questions, is anyone opposed to this motion?
Nope.
And that is carried. So they can get on with their site plan. Next, we have the hearing for 7.1. That's B13-21, 1257564 Ontario Inc. And could I get notification or confirmation that notification was given, Holly, please?
Yep, I can confirm notification was given in accordance with the Planning Act.
Okay. And Clint, would you like to go over comments received, please?
Sure. So the first comments we have, I have from the Public Works Department, and they indicate a safe access can be provided. It's a rural gravel road standard, and a road widening will be required and I clarified this, our typical, when it's on a corner lot, is to require it from both the side road and the frontage road. And they will require an additional entrance to be included for the retained parcel. So then the next comments are from the SVCA. And they find that the zoning amendment application is acceptable to the SVCA. And it says zoning amendment, but it also deals with the consent as well. So I'm just looking to see. Doesn't say anything about endangered or threatened species there that I can see. Yeah, so that's from Mike Oberly. So it's fine. County of Grey comments. They indicate, in reviewing the planning justification report submitted by Questa, county staff are generally satisfied that policies 2 to 6 of their official plan have been generally addressed. County staff would recommend that a subsection 1 pertaining to the bona fide farmer be addressed prior to approval of this application, with a request that a farm business registration number be provided, or that a condition of consent be added to ensure that any new owner of the lands would be a bona fide farmer. They have provided that information to us, so Genevieve did email me their registration number to confirm. County staff, again, are recommending that for approval, provided that policy can be addressed and positive comments are received from the Conservation Authority. They have no further concerns. Bell Canada have no concerns. The Historic Saugeen Métis have reviewed the relevant documents and have no objections. And Hydro One have no comments or concerns at this time. And that's all of the comments from commenting agencies.
Okay, thank you. Was anything received from the public?
Nothing received that I have.
Okay, thank you. Now I'll ask if the applicant or agent is present and would like to say anything, and welcome Genevieve. I don't know if you want to say anything or just be available for questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just wanted to provide a quick overview. This is a fairly cookie cutter surplus farm dwelling consent, where we took a look at the agricultural policies, of course, and reviewed the natural hazard policies, and as both of those designations are on the property. But if you are familiar with the property, the low-lying wooded area is to the north, right at the back of the farm, and is there should not be any concerns related to impact on those natural heritage features as part of this proposal. We did take a look at nearby operations as well, farming operations, and did some MDS1 calculations, and all the appropriate setbacks can be met as part of this proposal. So, we feel that it certainly meets all of the relevant policy, and we would respectfully request approval of the application. And I'm here to answer any questions that staff or committee may have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Well, let's see what the committee has to say now. Any questions or comments from the committee? Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and certainly I have no objections to the application in general. A question for Clint, though, and I guess it's a general question. Side Road 57 is an unimproved side road, and in all likelihood, it never will be improved. In fact, it might even be a no winter maintenance road. I'm not certain on that, but why would we take a road widening off that side road when in all likelihood, we are never going to improve that side road? Thank you.
Good question.
I didn't catch anything of what Ms. John said there, or Chair Woodbury. His sound is gone.
He didn't speak, Clint. Did you hear what Member Milne said?
I heard what Member Milne said, but I didn't hear any acknowledgement from the chair.
I think his sound cut out. I think you could go ahead and just answer Member Milne. I'm sure was calling on you.
Okay. This is a common question we have, which is why I clarified it with our Public Works department first before including it as a condition. This is a standard policy we have to require this 3 meters. In my view, it's a very forward or long thinking process. We may both be dead and gone before the township ever needs something like that, but I would never say never. So it's applied to all of them. We applied it to some recent ones in the past. One when our CAO went through a consent, or his daughter rather, went through a consent. That farm, both sides of it were taken off. I can remember some others where it was requested as well. So I think that has been how we've treated them all. If they're on a corner, and that's how we're treating it this way. I think it might be a mistake to go backwards now because we have done it so long that way. But again, this is the committee's decision.
Thank you.
Thanks, Clint. I thought your computer was frozen. It turned out it was mine now, so that's why you didn't hear me for a minute. Any other comments or questions from the committee?
Michael here.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Clint. I know that road we may never be in our lifetime, but I think we need to keep everything as standard. It makes it a lot easier going forward. So yeah, I definitely agree that we need to keep it the way it is.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
John, if I could.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Here's a funny way of looking at it. So we're going to take 3 meters off the entire length of that farm on a side road that is never, well, probably, I won't say never either, but in the foreseeable future, we will never improve. So that 3 meters will come off the taxable land of that property. So we won't gain the taxes from those 3 meters times the length of the farm for perpetuity now. And for what? So it's a benefit to the landowner. Absolutely it is. because they're going to continue to have the use of that property, but we're not going to be able to tax it. Just an observation on my part. Maybe it's short-sighted, I don't know, but there you go. That's why I'm wondering why we take 3 meters off there when we're never going to be able to probably improve that side road, and we're not going to get the benefit of the taxes of that 3 meters for the foreseeable future. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Any other comments or questions? Okay, so Clint, if you would like to go over your report.
Sure, I'll go over my report. So you can see here the proposal. We're severing off 2.36 hectares of land from the entire 100 plus 8. It's actually more than 100 because the retained will still be 40 hectares in size, so it's actually larger than that. So there, with the severance, it takes off all of the buildings, and then when we come forward with the zoning application, then the zoning will zone the retained parcel to prohibit future residential as per the provincial policy requiring that happen. And that, I believe that public meeting is coming forward this afternoon, so you may see this application again. So I've reviewed the policy from both the provincial policy statement and the official plan. And I also direct you to the applicant's planning report, which is fairly thorough. And so then all we're really doing is recognizing this new parcel as a rural residential zone, our R6 zone. Just once we do the actual severance. So that severance would be have conditions on it, and one of them is that it be rezoned, that a survey is provided, that the 3 meter road widening is provided, and that any outstanding taxes, fees, or charges are paid. And I don't believe I have any additional comments there at this time. Chair Woodbury's having a hard time with his computer.
Maybe you need somebody to drop it.
There we go. Yes. I guess the computer didn't like the snow either today. Okay. Thank you, Clint. I heard most of what you said. So I don't see any members of the public here. But if they're, oh, Barbara.
I hope you can hear me. I am having freezing and audio issues as well. And fortunately, I am on the telephone as well. I did want to ask a question, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure if this is the right time, because I know Chair Woodbury, you'll come back to further questions, if I may, since I have the microphone. With regard to taxation, I mean, Brian makes a good point, and Clinton had his hand up. I think he wanted to respond to that. But in the taxation model of a farm, is it generally 1 acre for residential, and then the balance is, and Brian is nodding, 1 acre is residential, and the balance would be taxed at the agricultural rate, which is significantly less than a residential rate. does it balance out because now they're going to have 2+ acres, almost 2.5 acres, that's going to be taxed at residential rates? And I'm not certain if it all balances out, but
Okay. Clint, go ahead.
Not being the tax collector, I would be hesitant to say for sure, but I believe that it does somewhat balance out when because you're creating a lot. So you're actually creating more, another entity to tax, being the residential lot, which will be taxed at a higher rate, as you say. So if we were leaving it as agricultural and just creating 2 agricultural lots that were like 50 acres in size each, it may not be to our benefit. But in this case, when you're creating small lots, whether they be for residential or commercial or industrial, what have you, then it makes a difference. That's how I would take it. But again, I'm not the tax collector, so I wouldn't be willing to stand up and say that.
Okay, thanks, Clint. Okay, I don't see any members of the public online, but this is when we would call for questions or comments from the public. So we are back to committee's questions and comments now, if there are any more.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We do have a question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you have to, sorry, state your name and address, I think, that Holly needs, and then go ahead.
Okay, we're Dwightney Lane Rundle. We are the owners of the property.
Well, welcome, and yes, go ahead with your questions or comment.
Well, it's in regards to the 3 meters down the side road. I agree with Brian. I don't know if you guys are ever going to use that to improve that road, because just the way it is. And two points on my part is I bought and paid for that land, and it's rough figures here. That's about $10,000 worth of land that you want me to give away, which I have to pay for, and I'm in the process of paying for. And also, it also seems like if you're on a corner farm like we are, anybody that's not on a corner farm, they don't have to donate any land whatsoever. This feels like discrimination, more or less, if you have a corner farm. We're being penalized for that. And yeah, monetary value is one thing, plus land that I'm not going to be able to work. And I don't see like Brian pointed out, this road will probably never ever be improved. And it seems, I'm hesitant to agree to that. Like, just because I want a severance doesn't mean I have to start giving land away. I don't think that's a fair way of doing things. And that's all I got to say right now.
Okay, thank you. And just to confirm for you, anytime that the road hasn't been widened, even if it wasn't a corner lot, the part across the front of the property, that standard is to take the 3 meters so that the road could be widened in the future. But I understand what you're saying about the corner lot.
Yeah, but you take I'm sorry to interrupt, but take a frontage, your frontage, I don't know, in this case, I don't have the figures in front of me, but you know, the side road goes halfway through the block, which is 1 kilometer, and the front of this farm is not even close to that. So, you know, if you had to give some off the front, you're giving, all these farms are long and narrow, right? So I'm losing a lot more going down the side road than I would if you took it off the front. And
yep.
I hope you see what I'm getting at. And like I said, I had to buy that land, and it's $10,000 an acre. It was more than $10,000 an acre when I bought it. So that's a pretty big gift, and as far as I'm concerned. I'm paying for it, and now I got to give it away just because I want a severance.
And may I add something?
Yep.
And so you're going to appropriate our land just in case you do widen that road in the future. So what advantage is it to the township to only have whatever depth is our property? Are you going to appropriate the land from all the other landowners?
Actually, I can let Clint answer that as well.
Thank you, Chair Woodbury. So whenever anyone in the province of Ontario undergoes any sort of Planning Act application, whether it's a zoning, a consent, a site plan control, the Planning Act allows the municipality to take a road widening for future needs. And part of that is in an effort to reduce costs so that in the future, whenever roads do need to be widened, they don't have to go through an expropriation process because they've done it at the time when the lots were being divided. So that's how they look at it. So the other side of the road, on Side Road 57, if they were to come forward with a severance on that corner, then at that time they would look at taking another 3 meters off. You look at it at the other view, they would only, if that never happened, the township would only be on the hook to expropriate half that value, like half the road allowance requirement, 3 on each side. So as opposed to having to do both. So they do save in that respect for the general taxpayer. I see your point about it seeming to be not fair for owners of corner lots. And that's why, again, I double checked with our public works, and that is the policy of the township. And it's been that way for quite some time to take that road allowance along the side roads. So if the committee wants to change that, certainly we could look at that. But that has been our established policy for a long time. So that's all I'm going to say with that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Jason here, John.
Go ahead, Jason, then Jim.
Yeah, I was listening to, I agree with Brian's comment right off the start, but then I got thinking, we do it all the time, but I never thought of the corner lot. And I think we have to take into consideration, like we said, that if anybody knows that road, it's pretty highly unlikely that it's going to be ever widened, and well, it won't be in our lifetime, I don't think. And given the price of this, of the value of the land now, he's being generous at 10,000 an acre. The way things are going, it is a big chunk. Like I know I'd be the same way if someone, it's losing for him and a benefit for everyone in the township, I guess. But I think maybe we should look into that, especially on a corner lot. As he said, if it's the end of the farm where most of these farms are long and narrow, it's one thing. But that is a lot of land to give up with the value of this land nowadays. So I think we should maybe look into that policy. I don't know if we could look into it just for corner farms or what, but I think it's something we should look into.
Okay, thanks, Jason. Jim.
The landowner can still use that land that's been expropriated. It's only expropriation on paper at the present time. Am I correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. Any other questions or comments from the committee? Barbara.
No.
We could hear you, and then you've muted somehow.
Okay. Now I'm unmuted. Yeah, thank you. The caution I would worry about corner lots being exempt from taking a road widening allowance. Then you end up having to justify taking the road widening allowance for a road that is open and that may not have been widened in the future, and that may be, a plan to, improve that road. And as Member Frew indicated, because that was going to be my comment, it's a road widening allowance on paper. The property owner gets to use the property. They're not prohibited from changing their farming practices, and they get the tax benefit because now they're not paying tax on that 3-meter road widening allowance. So until such time as the township opens that road, nothing changes other than less tax on that farm. I'll entertain if a policy comes forward, but I don't know that it's, I think we need to be consistent throughout the municipality, and this is allowed under the Planning Act to ensure that the township can function and open roads and expand roads as required with the least burden to the taxpayers as a whole.
Okay, thank you. I think this
May I
is.
comment?
Yeah, in just a second. I think this is one of those things that's got to be, as far as that policy, the council has to look into and make a decision overall. So, yes, go ahead, please.
Well, I just wondered, I'm not sure how many rods that we own on that side road, but 3 meters times how many rods is worth a lot more money than any tax benefit that we would get.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I don't know the numbers either, but I could see that.
Yes, like as Brian and Jason both said, land value is just going up and up more all the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, any more comments from the committee? Okay. So now I'll entertain a motion to approve, deny, or defer. Do I have a mover and seconder with the suggestion? Martin? Okay, and what was your, sorry, I think I must have frozen again. I can't, I didn't hear what the motion would be. Martin?
Your sound's not working, Councillor Shipston. We can't hear you.
Is that better? Yeah.
Yeah.
With all the discussions I've heard, I could sit on the fence, but I think I'm going to have to lean to approving it. So motion to approve.
Okay, do I have a seconder?
Barbara.
Barbara seconded it. Okay. So the motion is before you, that we receive the staff report for information and be approved with the following conditions. Survey is provided. The 3-meter road widening be provided from the severed and retained lots along Southgate Road 10 and Southgate Side Road 57. If one has not been provided in the past, the outstanding taxes, fees, and charges are paid, and that the zoning bylaw amendment is approved to recognize the severed parcel as a residential lot. The retained lot must also be rezoned to prohibit residential development. Okay. Any further discussion?
Question? Through you to Clinton. because of the conversation and the verbal objection to the one condition, is the applicant permitted to withdraw their application once we grant this, or what is the next step for the applicant if they have changed their mind?
They would simply not fulfill the conditions, and then it would just lapse.
It would just lapse. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay.
Okay. I don't
Genevieve?
I don't know if this is an appropriate time for me to add a comment in, but if I
Sure.
may, Chair.
Yep.
I just wanted to mention that there is an opportunity under the Act to also change or waive conditions prior to stamping of the deed. And now we have 2 years to fulfill conditions. So if there is a policy change or if there's some further discussion in regard to that condition, we do have an opportunity under the Act to take another look at it if that's what the applicant decides to do.
Okay, thank you very much. That's good information.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, then I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed to the motion? And that is carried. So that motion's been carried. And now I need a motion to adjourn at 9:41. Barbara? And we are adjourned. So I think I'll see most of you at 10 o'clock for the next meeting. Thanks.